The U.S. military offensive has begun against Libya. It's no doubt that this war is intended not to save the people of Libya, as they so wholeheartedly claim, but in fact to bring Libya under the domain of U.S. power. France and Britain have also engaged in this conflict. The three countries together, otherwise known as NATO, have begun their offensive and begun killing the people that they very arrogantly claim they are there to help. According to media, hundreds of people have already been killed in NATO strikes in the city of Benghazi. According to the media, Benghazi has already suffered several hundred civilian casualties since the offensive by NATO has begun. There have also been reports of burnt-out, destroyed vehicles left behind, Gaddafi forces having been destroyed. So in just the short amount of time, just 2 days, just after only 2 days of a NATO offensive, hundreds of civilians, which they claim to be there to help, have already been killed. Libyan television has reported that a hospital in Tripoli has been bombed, with over 48 dead and over 100 wounded. Now, this is Libyan state television, so we have to consider the source. The first strikes were made by the French Air Force, hitting the Libyan military outside Benghazi, where the oil fields are. According to Al Jazeera, the British Royal Air Force sent Tornado GR4s over 3,000 miles. That's the longest distance they traveled to bomb since the Falkland War of 1982. The U.S. has attacked with B-2 stealth bombers. Now, MSNBC is also reporting that U.S. forces attacked with F-16s and F-15s, fighter jets that have attacked Gaddafi forces that have been tagging against the rebels in the coastal areas of the country. Admiral Michael Mullen, the Joint Chiefs of Staff and top advisor to Obama, went on the media and answered the questions as to why the U.S. was so incensed on getting rid of Gaddafi because of the crimes he's committed, while supporting other regimes that have done the same thing. His answer was that every situation is different, and those other regimes have been longtime allies. In other words, they've supported U.S. interests, so they're not interested in getting rid of them. While on NBC's Meet the Press, Mulligan went on and told the world that Gaddafi is using human shields, which is apparently supposed to explain why there's such a high civilian body count. Now, if this claim sounds familiar, this was one used against Saddam Hussein in the Iraq War. So basically, if you turn on the television and you see a bunch of dead Libyans, it's Gaddafi's fault because he made them stand there. So be sure to blame the victim. While this attack is going on, Gaddafi is making it clear that Libyan oil is still available for Western exploitation. In fact, the Libyan oil minister went on television and said that Libyan oil fields are still available for oil exploitation. Now, he requested that technicians and administrative personnel who were there previously should come back so that they can get oil production up and running again, because that's in the favor of everyone. And now they've said that they're willing to honor all the previous contracts they've had with companies doing oil, especially British Petroleum, which I believe they still have about a $900 million deal that they're still willing to live up to. Russia, China, Brazil, India, the other members of the UN Security Council, have been very quiet on this situation. Normally they would vote against the U.S., and the U.S. does it anyway. But in this one, they've not said anything at all. They've abstained from actually voting on the issue, which certainly shows that there's great division within the imperialist camp, and there's possibilities for greater conflicts involving other powers in the world. This split has taken place as the individual imperialist powers are pushing for greater access to the world's resources, especially in an area with such unrest. There's the potential for other imperialist powers to move in, and this could cause larger and wider wars. Now, this drive for control over those resources is entirely caused by the world capitalist system and the profit-driven mechanism that operates it. The only way to stop these wars from happening is to take these resources out of the hands of private business and put them according to human need, not human greed. And when we put it towards human need, it can go to where it would do the most good. And place it in the hands of state control or worker control, That way, there aren't wars over these resources so that they can belong to and be exploited by private companies who have no right to have them anyway. U.S. hands off Libya, everyone's hands off Libya. Libya for the Libyan people.